Greetings YouTube. Today I'm looking at the Buck 780 Exert, which apparently is a Walmart exclusive, or at least was at one time. I bought this at a resale shop, an little antique shop in Rochester, New Hampshire, and I got a good price on it, so I thought, oh, you know what the heck, I'll give it a try. Now, I just noticed that that spacing looks like almost like you could get that transfer, but there's a cutout for that. Kind of a pity. If they put a cutout on this side, you would have been able to switch that up, which would be nice. Giving props to the Southpaws of the world is always a good thing in my book. I bought this used, so it's got some miles on it. For example, you can see that the clip is a little sprung. I have to remove that and bend it back to get it to have a little bit of grip on a pair of pants. At the moment, that's not going to grab much of a pants pocket. But you have a it's a hard rubber here. But here is actually plastic, so it's kind of nice in the fact that the part of your pocket that's going to be sliding on the knife is actually not going to have as much grip as this does, which is a good thing. You don't want too much grip. If this had been rubber as well, deploying the knife is going to be far more difficult. It's not a particularly deep pocket clip, because even though it's got a fancy slant, realize it's going to probably only come to here in a pocket, so you're going to have quite a bit of hanging out there. And you can see there's a very ample lanyard hole if you'd like to use a lanyard. In fact, it's one of the larger lanyard holes I've ever seen. There's the little buck bit on there, and let's open it up. It's kind of funny, I've been using flippers so much lately. My first instinct when I got this was to go, whoa, why is there no flipper? I've come to really like flippers. But this opens with a thumb hole, which in my opinion is a little sharp. This whole thumb hole, the whole thumb hole, the whole edge on this thumb hole is a little crisp for my taste. It's not quite as bad here, but that's just because the guy who owned it before me could have wore it in. We have an interesting blade shape, which intrigued me. And so you got a slight curve in there, echoed with the slight curve here, and you got a straight section, and a very pronounced swedge up here, and one there as well. So there's a lot going on in this geometry. It is a hollow grind, not my favorite. It is also not particularly sharp, because again, I bought this used. I think I paid like $8 for this. So according to the website on Walmart, that's normally going to go for like $25. I don't know. Again, and apparently it's still available if you happen to like this particular model. One of the things I liked about it, it is a good size knife. Fills up your hand. You feel it because of this rubberized, this hard rubber in here. It feels like very secure. And if you happen to really like a reverse grip, I don't, it's not my thing. It is quite comfortable in that way as well. With these nice finger cutouts, this knife is not going anywhere. You'd be able to really exert some force with this and not have to be really concerned about your hand moving a great deal, which is good, because with this rubber will help avoid that, because there's no guard at all. If there was a flipper, you'd have something for your finger to stop on, but you do not. We have an open construction, which is good, very plain support pillars, so this would be very easy to clean, which actually it needs to be cleaned. This guy really didn't blow at his knife very often. The liners are thin. This was not an overly expensive knife out of the box, a new one. Liner lock, still a good lockup. Even though this is a used knife, still a solid lockup, and you got a good 50%, and there is a little ball bearing in there for retention. The liner lock itself is slightly proud, so that you can grab it, and the jimping on here is quite comfortable. It's nicely beveled and rounded, so it's not rough on your finger at all, but it is present, and it affords you a slightly better grip. And because of this little choil cutout right there, you actually have a spot for it to close and stop on your thumb without endangering your thumb with an edge, and then you can go like that. I still want a flipper. I'm just so used to it lately. I've been carrying nothing but flippers for like months and months and months. As far as retention goes, let's see how the retention on this puppy is. Pretty good. That's some nice retention in there. Yep, that blade's not going anywhere. It's not all that well centered, but again, I bought it used. I could tweak that if I wanted to, but the amount of resistance I'm getting on this blade right now is very comfortable. I like it. I don't think I actually want to change that. I'm not too concerned. It's not centered. It's not touching the liner. As long as it's not touching the liner, I'll put up with a knife that's a blade that's off center if I have the right tension. And I think this is a good degree of resistance for opening the knife, and it allows me to close it, and the blade just doesn't fall. That's good. I want a blade that will stay in position and closes when I tell it to close. So yeah, overall, I think this is a solid little knife. If you're a buck fan, I think you could do a lot worse. Again, with the nice plastic in here, it's going to come in and out of a pocket without too much difficulty. It is kind of on the thick side, so in your pocket it is going to take up some real estate. But there are a lot of people out there who love bucks, and let's be honest, they've been around forever, and they have some classic designs. I have to think that like the 110 is just something that should be considered one of the best designs ever made. It's just such beautiful, beautiful lines on that knife, even if it isn't the most modern take on a knife, pocket knife. So this has been the Buck 780 Exert. Really like this knife. I think it's a solid design, and I think that if you are a buck fan, it's something you definitely want to look into.